let's do that. And we'll do the brackets first. Got to do the brackets. I'll be in this case, if you had like a couple of good screw points here and here, this little small unit, you wouldn't need a brackets at all, because we've got at least it's about 500 and something long. We've got at least 275 in the wall, so it's already counterbalanced to the inside anyway. But I want to do it so that to demonstrate all options, and it should look nice. And I like the idea of having it on a really good solid bed all the way across. Right, finished painted brackets, all matching. I think it all looks nice. Just one at a time. As you can see, I am not going to screw in through here into the unit at all. It's going to just have the rubber sponge underneath. This is to support it, and that's it. When I install it, again, just reinforcing what I said before, don't cover up these holes at the bottom underneath. I'll show you again. We're going to have it off to the side in a nice line, pressing it up firm. It's already screwed in place. It's just when the weight goes on, you can't go wrong. I'm not going to worry about a spirit level up and down. They're so small, you really can't go wrong. If it looks right, it is right. I tend to put a circle around it to emphasize where that mark is. External bricks are tricky because they've got bits of other stuff in it, dip pulls and everything everywhere. It's easy to go away, then come back and realize that you've drilled into the wrong spot. So while you've got it here, you can double check where your holes are. If you're ever finding that your wall plugs are jamming when you go to put them in, it's because you didn't blow them out. It's got to clean it out, 100%. I just got debris in there. I heard it drop down. There's debris in that one from above, from when I was grinding it. I just heard it drop. It's just dropped in the way. The thing about too small a hole than a bigger one is you can correct it. Even though this bit is actually, usually I say a 90% to 100% ratio between the wall plug and the bit. This one's probably about 80. It's a bit too, it's already got the green. But we can cheat. As I'm going to do, I'm just going to let the thing flutter as it comes out. Letting it flutter. Come in with a spray can later, put a bit of cardboard around that and touch it up at the last moment. But the point is, that is good. No vibrations because the metal's not touching the other metal. We've got a bit of a cushion in between there and there. That's great. And that, I could put my body weight on that. That's not going anywhere. That's a good finish. I like it. When it comes to actually installing the air conditioner itself into the unit, good luck with that, because geez, it's heavy. Got it in, but I ended up tipping it on its side in the process of doing it. So now that I've done that, I can't run this for a while now. Treat it like a refrigerator. I've had it stored at that level all the time. It sat for a few days, dead level as it should be. But just then I messed up and I caused it to tilt. And now I'm just going to, I'll install the rest and do the rest of it, because I can't turn it on until the gases have a chance to settle, otherwise you kill the unit. Exactly the same as transporting a refrigerator. You can see the sunlight like through the side gap. There'll always be a bit of a gap. It's near impossible to get it absolutely perfect. I mean, great if you can. You're a better man than me. But none of that's normally what happens. There'll be kind of a gap. Now there's a couple of ways to go about this. I'm going to put a nice timber surround around this with a bit of scrap off cuts that I got from the secret compartment spice rack. If you've watched that video, I've got a few leftover strips. I'll use that. But if you don't want to do anything like that, you haven't got access to a router and that kind of thing, at the hardware you can get like Scotia or skirting boards. They've got different profiles and patterns. If you want something that like wide, that's got like a chamfer on it, or if you, but in this case, I'm just going to put like a nice round bull nose on it. This is basically the same curve as what the air conditioner is to make it match. But I'm going to show you both. But if you didn't want to do that and you just want to have a nice neat finish and just paint it around and just wall to it and no surround, that's okay. In order to putty it though, because there's air that can get to the back of, if I was just to get putty and shove it in there, you can end up with a fracture. It's going to happen because air can get to the back of it. So you've got a Solastic, stick it in deep. It's just cheap Solastic. It doesn't have to be external or anything fancy. You're not going to see it. Shove it in deep, fill it in, So there's just like, so it's just back just a little bit, leave about like 5 millimeters or something back in. So let that set. You should not need to let it set. It's got air from behind. It'll set anyway if you're in a hurry. But these I'd be inclined just to let it set, just in case it sags or anything like that. Let it fully cure. Like, give it a day. Never go for the pre-mixed stuff that you get in a tube that you just squirt it on. It's easy, you know. Like it's not good. It really isn't the way to go. It doesn't shelve well. It doesn't give the better finish. I truly recommend going the powdered stuff and not the cheapest stuff. There is a difference. You'll get the most. You'll see 2 packets at the hardware, and one's cheaper than the other. And you think, oh, I'll just go the cheaper one, and it's kind of gritty. It doesn't mix well. It doesn't give that smooth finish. It's kind of nasty. Just for the sake of $1 more, buy the stuff in the yellow and black packet. I'm not going to say the brand. I'm not getting paid by them to do so. When it comes to mixing it, it's the opposite to what I said in the other my retaining wall video about cement. Put the powder in a container. This is an ice cream container. Put the powder in first, roughly about the amount that you think you're going to need. Don't do too much. You're better off remixing and making more than have one big batch thinking, oh, I'm going to go like crazy and put heaps in. Do smaller batches as best. Just splash a little bit of water in, mix it the best you can. If you find a little bit more, need a bit more to get it right, go a tiny bit more, just a little bit of water at a time. It's very easy to overdo it and it becomes too runny. What you're chasing is toothpaste. Basically, like the consistency of toothpaste. It should sort of like go like that, sort of holds together. Like that's perfect. That's exactly right. You should it should sort of slop off, but if it just comes dribbling off like water, you've overdone it. When it comes to using it, if you have made too much, and you want it starts to set on you, you can get away with adding a little bit of water once. It's the same with grout. When you're grouting up in tiling, you can add a little bit of water once to try and loosen it up to keep on going. But the second time, it just doesn't work right. To give you an exact example, it's been about 30 minutes since I did this. You can kind of see it's all turned white, and there's a little bit darker shade where it's still wet, which is fine. I've got a tub here with an ice cream container, probably vanilla, not anymore, of a cloth. You can see it dripping. I'm going to squeeze it just to a point that it's not dripping water, but that's still quite wet. Now, I know I did mention before about the word liquid nails. I say it out of habit because everybody knows liquid nails. I've deliberately gone for this cheaper alternative, which this was like $3, whereas liquid nails was $7.50. I don't know if the prices are quite accurate from where you are, but you can see the ratio. I wanted the most cheapest stuff possible because I want the most weakest bond possible. So I'm assuming that the cheaper that it is, the more garbage that it is. Okay, so when it comes to putting a surround around your air conditioning system, what I tend to find in life, you can probably see that the gap, these are never perfectly straight, unless you've got a brand new unit that happened to be manufactured very, very well. 99 times out of 100, they're never quite spot on, especially once you've installed it. So what I tend to do is I don't join the 45-degree marks like prior to and then try and slip it on. What I do is I glue on each individual piece. I used to use just a bit of liquid nails. That's why I haven't painted the back to get it to stick. Best to do that, because if you decide to change your mind, you want to get rid of it, you can always just get a little chisel behind it, you can pop it off and clean that up. If you've got to go drill and screw it into the wall and everything, you get ugly screw marks that look awful, and you got to either putty them up, and it's just pain in the butt. It's just easier. You don't need much liquid nails. It's just a surround. I just put like a thin slither just along there, and stick that on, and then do that one, and then do around all four, which I'll show you. And then with the gap, if you don't have a compound miter saw like I've got that I just cut these off neat, don't panic. You don't need it. As long as you can mark a 45 somehow, you can use anything for that. You can even just use an old stationary compass to figure out a 45-degree mark and scribe it out. Cut it with a cheap saw. Don't worry about the edge or anything so much. Just give it a bit of a sander. Just do the best you can. And then don't cut the other ends. You can see I haven't cut this yet. I've done one end, and what I'm going to do is then I'll just use this ruler here to then help me find my marker point where that then runs and meets up perfectly with the top. It will be about there. and then I can mark at the bottom, and then I'll cut that 45 at the time. I don't even measure it. I go off, it is what it is. So I don't care what that measurement is. I just go off physically what it is now. Once that's then together, because I've chosen white, I just get a little bit of wall putty, get it really thin, really smooth and thin, and I just wipe it into the grooves. If there's any joint indifferences, just wipe it over the top, let it set for about 15 minutes, and then get a damp cloth and just wipe it over the top, silky smooth. It'll look great, and then you can just touch up, paint that gap, and you'll never see it, even without the need of all that fancy equipment. Let's say you put too much on, okay, and when you put it down and it came oozing out of the side, let it set, leave it alone. What you can do then with a Stanley knife later is just cut it when it's hard and dried up. Get a Stanley knife and just pick it and cut it off. If you try and wipe it out while it's wet, it just makes a mess, sticks to everything. I removed it, give it about 60 seconds. And just while that's just taking that moment, I'm going to keep this real time. I'm not going to high speed this or anything because this is crucial. As you can see, I have not cut the other end of this yet. The very final piece. There's a reason for that, being that allow these three to get set first. That has actually crept. See it? I didn't leave it for long enough. Leaving it for longer would have been better. Now that this is in place, now I can go about cutting this to suit this. I wouldn't have done it before, just in case of variables of gluing it in, how it is, the physical things, like it is what it is. I've never measured it, and I haven't measured any of these. I've gone off, it is what it is. The reason why these air conditioning systems are better than a split system, you see a lot of YouTube videos, you're sure you've seen it down the list, but if you found this video, then you have seen down the list like a lot of videos on split system air conditioning systems. Yeah, they have their advantages, especially if you want a air conditioning which is on the inside of the house. This can only be done where it is on the external wall of the house, and I respect that, but this has severe advantages. One, it's a bucket load cheaper. Secondly, you can legally put it in because it's just simply put in with a cord. You can do it. Also, if anything goes wrong with this, if it breaks down, you can just remove it, take it to the air conditioning place, therefore you're not paying any call out fee of any kind. Have them regas it, repair it, whatever you want, or get a brand new unit and slide a brand new unit straight back in there. Same day, said and done, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, you've solved the problem. But with a split system, I'm really not sure how it is these other YouTubers are getting away with this aspect, but you need a licensed gas fitter to inject the gas that runs from the outside unit to the inside unit. Unless you're breaking the law, I mean, well, from where we are here in Australia, it needs to be licensed. You can't just do it yourself. I'm sure I did see some people have shown videos where you get the gas injected. It doesn't matter. You're breaking the law. In this, there is no laws broken. It's your house. Cut yourself a hole, stick the thing in. The split system can be quieter because you can get the outer box unit and have it far away from the bedroom, and you've got the other unit and you hardly hear it. So if there's a sleeping aspect bedroom, I respect that too. Split system does have its advantages, but on the outside of the house, it is just as ugly. Having this great big giant metal box hanging off the wall or stuck on the floor, getting in the way, right at head height to bash you in the head, like on the sort of side of the wall, stuck on the roof, doesn't matter, it is ugly. I'm not going to put Celastic on the inside in there. You can if you want to, because you can get a Stanley knife and cut it out later. The reason being is that you need to be able to get this part here and take that off. At the beginning of the video I mentioned about don't have it flush with the wall, set it out a little bit. This is the reason. When you read about those air conditioning dudes that come in and service your air conditioner, 9 times out of 10, all they do is they clean this. That's it. The way I clean it, I go to the laundry sink, I just wash it out under the tap because it's wet, stick it up on the clothesline, put a couple of pegs so the wind doesn't blow it off down the back of the yard, and let it dry out. Get a vacuum cleaner. Do not dent or damage these vents in any way. There is already a bit of damage there, but like I said, second-hand unit, what do you do? But keep this as clean as possible. Keep it neat and tidy. If you can just gently vacuum out and get all the dust that it could, this is what this is for, to stop that, but make sure there's no dust inside these vents. This is going to work very efficiently. where your aircon starts working terribly is when that is clogged up and it can't suck the air through and cool this system down and transfer the air. So if you start finding that you think the aircon's not working, it's not doing anything, this is probably clogged. That's all that it is.